soaring high into the sun. Here they come, zooming to meet our thunder. Atta boys, give her the gun, give her the gun! Down we dive, spouting our flames from under. Off with one hell of a roar. We live in fame, and we're down in flames. Hey, nothing can stop the U.S. Air Force.
Hello and welcome back to Wyoming Watch, the Wyoming Tribune Eagles weekly podcast. I'm Taylor Staples, your arts and entertainment reporter. On Wednesday, military leaders celebrated the first completed military construction project for the Sentinel project at F.E. Warren Air Force Base. The project, once completed, will replace the U.S.'s over 400 Minuteman III Intercontinental Ballistic missiles with the new LGM-35 Sentinel ICBMs. This week, I spoke with crime and public safety reporter Ivy Secrest about what military leaders are saying about the project and what this new building means for those working on it. Ivy, would you be able to explain the Sentinel project to our listeners?
Yeah, absolutely. So the Sentinel project is probably one of the largest U.S. Air Force modernization programs to be attempted in recent years. It starts with F.E. Warren Air Force Base in Cheyenne. It'll replace older Minuteman III Intercontinental Ballistic missiles with newer LGM-35 Sentinel missiles, thus the Sentinel project. It's a $141 billion project that involves upgrading over 400 launch facilities, constructing new missile silos, and installing fiber optic cables across 3 different states that also have Air Force bases. Those bases include, in addition to F.E. Warren Air Force Base, Malmstrom Air Force Base in Montana and Minot Air Force Base in North Dakota.
So, they recently made some progress with construction on this project. Tell me about the event you went to on Wednesday.
Yeah, so on Wednesday, different military leaders gathered at F.E. Warren Air Force Base to celebrate the first completed military construction project for Sentinel.
We are really modernizing intercontinental ballistic missiles. This building, this program, started decades ago when an organization that I belong to now under General Davis, Air Force Global Strike Command, didn't even exist. We were part of Air Force Base Command headquarters in Colorado Springs, and that's when this program has started. So we've seen many iterations, many people have come and gone. And for Buck and I, it's just our timing happens to be what it is, that we get to be involved with this now, and to actually see this come to fruition. The walls and the roof that you're sitting in now will be the nerve center. Everything that occurs, both on base and in Nebraska, Wyoming, and Colorado, in the missile field in the 90th Missile Wing, will be because of this building right here. So while structurally it's just a building, the men and women who will work in this building over the next decade, fielding the Sentinel weapon systems, they'll write history out of what happens in this building. That's how historic this is, and it's personal to me, obviously, because I started here, and to see this come full circle and say, hey, for one day, for a couple minutes, we get to be part of something big. And so, with that being said, this effort that we're under is while it's one building today, there's other buildings on base and going under construction. This is the largest military effort we've ever done. And I look at the Army Corps right now, right? We have never broached anything like this.
So that was the presiding officer for Wednesday's ceremony, Major General Colin Connor, Director of the ICBM Modernization Directorate, Air Force Global Strike Command. This is really the first functional building. It's a larger kind of office building with space for people to work on some of those more intellect and logistical aspects of this project. Brigadier General William Buck Rogers, the commander, United States Army Corps of Engineers Northwestern Division, who also spoke at Wednesday's ceremony, addressed what a major accomplishment it is and highlighted the importance of the work that is going to be done in what appears to be a simple building full of conference rooms, but really is a specially built space tailor-made for these people that are working on turning over the missile system.
The work here done at places like F.E. Warren is the foundation for our nation's defense. It is our true strategic defense. and it just happens, right? Foundations are on the ground, so ICBMs are on the ground. In my mind, and I know I might be a little biased, but I think many others will agree with me that the ICBM mission is where it all starts for our nation's defense on the military instrument of national power.
And then what does that building do to further this project?
So currently, those personnel who are on F.E. Warren working on Sentinel are sort of borrowing space from the 90th Missile Wing or other groups that may be habiting F.E. Warren. So basically what that means is if they need to have a top secret conversation that requires a certain level of security, they then have to coordinate with other groups on the base to find a time to go have that minute conversation in a space that is equipped for that conversation. In the military, that means spaces that are built to prohibit any sort of unapproved transmitting of information. So any sort of spyware or devices that are used to listen in on conversations or to pick up or hack into computer systems. The military is incredibly cautious about ensuring that when they're working on something as sensitive as nukes, that they are really being cognizant of how that information is being shared, who it is being shared with, even within their own ranks. And so before having this first building completed, if two people wanted to go discuss something top secret regarding Sentinel, they needed to kind of set aside a time to go do that, to have that 3-minute conversation. Now, with this new building, they can just go into the other room that is already equipped for that and have their own space. So that's a huge part of this.
What are some of the security protections for this building?
So, like we already mentioned, some of these rooms are equipped to ensure that there isn't any unauthorized transmitting of information, whether that's hacking into a computer system or eavesdropping, whatever it is. These rooms are subject to very specific orders that require them to be tested and constructed in such a way that they provide radio frequency protection or simple audio protection, these kinds of things. Every screw, every bolt in the walls of what appears to be a very standard and plain office space has been tracked from the creation of the bolt down to the person who placed it in the building. They know where every material has been, where it now sits, who placed it, and what rooms are classified for what conversations. They also have these blue lights affixed to the ceiling, and if someone were to be in the room who's not qualified to listen in on this classified conversation, who doesn't have that security clearance, if that person is in the room, there will be this blue light that goes off. So when we were touring this building, that was demonstrated to us that there are journalists in the room. They do not have security clearance, do not discuss. And so it is quite high tech and quite in-depth, the amount of thought that's gone into this.
Are there any concerns to be aware of with this project?
Yeah, so Sentinel has made headlines several times, primarily in relation to money and timeline. It is not clear right now when this project will be done. There have been different timelines projected over the past several years that Sentinel's been pursued, but those timelines keep getting pushed back due to unforeseen costs, and Sentinel's also gone over budget quite a significant amount. In 2021, the U.S. Air Force informed Congress that Minuteman 3 would reach the end of its service life by 2036, so that means that the missiles are no longer, or would no longer be able to be maintained to the standard that is set. And then in following delays to the Sentinel project, they then again determined that Minuteman 3 could feasibly run through 2050, but it was going to be risky. And so there's that side of it. It's unclear when exactly Minuteman 3 needs to be phased out. And then there's the issue of the program has faced an 81% cost overrun, which triggered the Nunn-McCurdy breach in 2024. The program was then federally reviewed and deemed suitable to continue forward because of the national security issues that are related to this nuclear program. But still, it's unclear when we're going to be done. Now, military leaders have emphasized the importance of modernizing the nation's land-based ICBMs, or intercontinental ballistic missiles, but it's just not clear when that's going to be done.
Thank you, Ivy.
Thank you. Now, here's Taylor Staples, our arts and entertainment reporter, here to give us a roundup of some of the upcoming events in the area this week.
Now, on to this week's upcoming events. Just as a disclaimer, this list is condensed and also doesn't include any ongoing exhibits. Today, March 13th, there's a lunch and learn for the Cheyenne Symphony Orchestra at noon in the Cottonwood Room at the library. Tomorrow, March 14th, the Delta Kappa Gamma 42nd Annual Used Book Sale enters its second weekend and will be from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Saturday and 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Sunday. The sale will also be at the old Joanne Fabrics next to Baumgar's and the Frontier Mall, as well as the Old Justice store next to Buckle. This weekend, people can also buy an all-you-can-fill box for $10. There's also a flea market and craft show at VFW 1881 from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., the Makers Market Farmers Market from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Frontier Mall, a potions apothecary session from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. at Hawthorne Tree, and a caregiver workshop at the library from 3:30 to 5 p.m. in the Cottonwood Room. Later, there's a Cheyenne Dance Club event from 7 to 10 p.m. at Little America and a CSO concert called This Land Is Your Land at 7:30 p.m. at the Civic Center. On Tuesday, March 17th, there's a seed library event called Gardening with Tech from 10 to 11:15 a.m. at the library in the Cottonwood Room, and an art meetup to work on unfinished pieces from 4:30 to 7 p.m. at the Cheyenne Creativity Center. Later, there's a Cheyenne Audubon program about turkey vultures at 6 p.m. at the Wyoming Game and Fish Department headquarters. On Wednesday, March 18th, there's chair yoga and poetry from 2:30 to 3:30 at the library in the Cottonwood Room, and an open studio art session from 5:30 to 7 p.m. at the Cheyenne Creativity Center. On Thursday, March 19th, Thankful Thursdays is benefiting Friday food bags this week, with doors opening at the Lincoln Way Event Hall at 4 p.m. There's also a Read to a Therapy Dog session from 4 to 5 p.m. at the library, a Team Writing Club meeting from 4 to 5 p.m. also at the library, and a Discover and Discuss session about wildlife conservation from 5:30 to 7 p.m. at the Cheyenne Frontier Days Old West Museum. For the full list of events, go to wyomingnews.com/calendar. In the headlines this week, a windstorm with gusts at 92 miles per hour whipped through Cheyenne on Thursday, causing multiple downed power lines, uprooted trees, and damage to buildings and cars. The peak of 92 miles per hour hit at about 11:51 a.m. with sustained winds around that time at 67 miles per hour. The high wind warning will remain in effect through Saturday night. Also, 14-year-old Havoc Leone was charged as an adult after fatally shooting his mother, Teresa McIntosh, in the head on Saturday in their home. Leone told deputies that his parents had been in a verbal argument over a tablet which he had stolen from a client of McIntosh's house cleaning business. Next, members of the 68th Wyoming legislature adjourned Wednesday without successfully overriding any of the 3 bills they considered on the last day of their budget session. A total of 335 bills and resolutions were numbered for introduction, according to the Legislative Services Office. The legislature ultimately passed 114 bills through both chambers. Thank you again for tuning into Wyoming Watch. Tune in next week for more local news.